I'm standing right over top of where I'm going to attempt to hand dig my first well. Now, a few weeks ago, I did a test dig with a little garden tool I have around here, and I got about 2.5 feet into the ground, which was pretty encouraging. But before I get too excited, it's important to note that in order to hit water, I'm probably going to need to get closer to more like 15 feet. So in order to accomplish that, I have a hand auger. And a hand auger is just a steel pipe with a handle on one end and a special head on the other end that grinds in and picks up dirt. And it's just a repetitive process of grinding that thing into the ground, grabbing some dirt, hauling it out of the hole, and then putting it back in and doing it all over again. So this is probably going to be several thousand cranks of a hand auger, and I'm going to take my first crank now. Made it about a foot down and hit a couple giant rocks. Let's see if I can show you here. So you can see I'm not very deep. And then there's a giant rock right there. And there's another giant rock right there. And this hole's a total washout. So I'm gonna regroup, move the hole, and try again.
So why would I hand dig a well? Why wouldn't I just pay somebody to dig it with a machine? There's a couple answers to that question. The easiest one is just to ask a question in return. Why would anybody climb Mount Everest? I just think it's thrilling to take on a challenge that I might not be able to succeed at. Plus, compared to Mount Everest, if I fail at this one, I'm probably not going to die. And if I succeed, I'll have an essential resource to show for it.
Last time I stopped, I'd made it about 3.5 feet, which was the limit of what the auger could do that I purchased without some modifications. And so in order to go deeper, I need some extensions. I went to a local hardware store and I bought some 5-foot sections of pipe that have threads on the end, and then some couplers to join the pipes together. And so what I can do from there is I can pull the auger head off the original auger and put the extensions on, and then put the auger head on the extensions, and that'll enable me to go deeper and deeper. The other thing I realized was that I'm probably going to hit more rocks as I go down, and that auger head's not powerful enough to break up the rocks. So what I decided to do was I went to see a local welder and had him make me a special tool, which is basically a stone chisel that's been welded to one of those threaded fittings, and if I hit a rock, I can pull that auger head off, unscrew it, and then screw the chisel head on, and then bang at those rocks until hopefully they give way and I can keep going. So let's get digging.
There's actually an even better explanation as to why I'm choosing to hand dig this well. And it's got everything to do with a certain kind of clarity I've developed since I started working on the land. And what I've learned is that if I take the time to load in an experience directly through my body, I have a level of understanding and appreciation that is orders of magnitude more than if I just held it as a concept in my mind. As an example, when I was considering whether or not to dig the well, I thought to myself, it probably would suck to have to hand carry water onto this property all the time. Instead of just leaving it at that, I decided to perform an experiment. I took 2 5-gallon buckets, filled them with water from my neighbor's well, and hand carried them down to my place. And that was about 85 to 90 pounds that I carried 1,000 feet. I can tell you that it was definitely much more clear, it was absolute, the understanding that I wouldn't want to do that every day. It was a whole different level of understanding than just thinking that it might not be. And so the way I think that translates into actually digging the well is that every turn of that auger loads information into my body about the challenge of acquiring this resource. And if I can succeed, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have a whole different level of understanding of how valuable the resource is and a whole different appreciation for having access to it.
I'm about 5 feet down in this second hole, and it looks like I might have hit my first big rock. It's hard to tell because it's so far down. I'm gonna bang at it for a bit with the wedge and see if I can get it to come loose. Fingers crossed. Check it out. There was a ton of rocks there, but I broke through. Broke them up into pieces about that big and then powered through. And special bonus, I hit water already. I'm probably down about 6.5 or 7 feet right now. And you can see when I bring the auger head up, the dirt's soaking wet. There's probably 4 or 5 inches of water in that hole already. Whew, but I don't know if you can see the sweat on my face, but this is really hard work. It was a long second day of digging this well, but I've got some pretty encouraging news. There is water in that sucker. Probably over a foot of it, actually. I'm down about 8 feet, I'd say, right now. And that's not deep enough to make this a usable well yet, but it's very encouraging. I think if I could get down another 5 or 6 feet, it's gonna be usable probably year round.